Your plan?
Right here. Stalwart's great this time of year. Beareth spells in bloom for a good 5 days, and the mountain squall actually blows the fish stench away from town. Better than staying at Galvino's, anyway. I got a reputation. People in these little villages ain't the most open-minded. Not yet. Believe what you want. I killed a lot of folk, but none of them was in Stalwart. Plenty, but nothing you need to know. Only kind to have with someone like him. Or me. No other way to feel about the man who flayed my living soul. Around about 13 years. Too long, you ask me. He'd spread butter on bread and claim he made something. Never been accused of modesty, that man. He managed to stuff my soul into this heap of bronze, true enough. Maybe that makes him a genius. Also makes him a son of a bitch. Every day. Just kept putting it off. It's not like either of us was going anywhere. Looked after his tools, cleaned the workshop, swung the sledgehammer. Oh, and snatched up travelers for his soul tinkering. But don't you worry. They were all bad folk. Just so you know, you got a real professional working for you. Yeah, I've had enough of him too. Effigy's eyes, that man loved to talk. If it's sane and logical reasoning you're wanting, you're going to be disappointed. Ain't no sense in any of it. Mayhap you've heard of Coldmorn. Was a quiet, forgettable patch of the woods. Till a pack of rabid clodhoppers set it afire.
That was the start of the purges. Dear Woodens killing their own.
A farmer on the other side of the mountains woke up one day with his head all aflame and took it for the gibbering speech of his god. And so did a few thousand of his countrymen. So when he tired of Vorlus fields and marched west, a horde of armed hicks followed. Bunch of fool nonsense is what I'm talking about. But others have called it the same. If you know that much, then you've heard of Coldmorn. Ours was the village that let a few thousand of Widewind's troops pass through.
You were from Coldmorn? When I heard what happened out there after the war, I couldn't believe my ears.
Fine line between couldn't and wouldn't. Maybe not, but the Raid Sarens had us clean beat in numbers. Even bumpkins like us figured that. Just look at Mercy Vale. They fought back, and now there ain't one stone standing atop another in the whole village. Besides, we asked the Duke for help. Told him Widewind's troops was coming through the mountains. Seems he had better uses for his soldiers. So we let Widewind's soldiers pass. Left him for the Duke to wrangle on his own terms. Was after the Godhammer made a fine grit out of Widewind, when Deerwoodens were running on rage and looking for something to burn. They came at dark, hundreds of folk. Every one of 'em mourning someone lost in the war. Must have decided it was our duty to escort their dead back to the wheel. They didn't light their torches till they had us surrounded. Time we saw 'em, there was a ring of fire closing around us. I woke, ran to the window. Whole village were a maze of flames. Couldn't see nothing for the smoke. And most ran for the streets, got caught by the mob. Others hid, let their houses burn down around them. That was my thinking, too. You said yourself that someone needed to bring the hammer down on the scum that raised Coldmorn. Sure. You want me to tell you straight? I found the men and women what destroyed my village, and I burned their houses down around them. Sometimes they was alone, and sometimes they wasn't. I'd have been more pleased myself if I hadn't gotten caught like this. And if I'd gotten through a few more first. It were a mob that destroyed our village, but it was just one man that burned my family's house. Kept hoping I'd get to him as I was working my way through the rest of those maggots. No matter now, I suppose. There weren't much to say about it. By my reckoning, that means it was pretty good. Ma was a trapper, taught me to set snares and dress game. Dad was a tinker. I never had his patience, but it were fun to watch him work. My brothers and sister, they was good folk too. Part of me's glad they ain't here to see me now. Just 'cause I'm made of metal don't mean I got any special fondness for smiths and forges. Nothing specific. Everyone looks about the same when they got their fingers up their noses. Only the last group, one before you, there was something different about them. Couldn't put my finger on it, but they was dangerous. Almost felt the hair on the back of my neck. Ain't felt that way about anyone else. Till you walked through Galvino's door, that is. For fancy dwarven poetry? None of them ever struck me as especially literate. So whichever you can stand to get close to. And that's on you. I lost my sense of smell 13 years ago. No more'n what Galvino already told you. Murder, tracking, and the best materials for kindling. Those are more my area of expertise.
Fair enough. Creatures.
It ever occur to you that maybe those dukes sent you here to screw things up?
It takes a paranoid mind to dream up a scenario where that makes any sense.
Hate to piss on your daisies, but them dukes will sell you out when it suits them.
My life is theirs. I don't question how it will end, so long as it ends in service to the Republics.
Didn't think I'd miss this place. Had that much right. Right here. Village was a touch livelier when I saw it last. Ain't saying much, though. Bitter cold and a persistent odor of fish. And that were just the people. Anything's better than Galvino's workshop. You ain't heard the old buzzard sing. Anyway, what about you? We seen lots coming through, trying to crack the battery, but no watchers. Then here's hoping you have better luck than all the poor sods that came before you. But don't let me keep you from the sights and sounds of Stalwart. They're easy to miss.
Fair enough.
First, worst, your neighbors hound you because you say the wrong prayers at supper time.
If it wasn't that, it'd be something else. Just their way of letting you know they care.
Then some cross-eyed lord gets to stringing up your neighbors.
A couple of them were ones that had been hounding me, so that worked out at least.
Right here. Only kind of...
Well, by all means. Whatever is your wish. Fair enough.
Please tell me you found it.
I take it you've met Galvino.
How much did the old snake pay you, Sina Hiod?
Maestro Galvino and I came to an agreement. It was for the good of Stalwart. I thought...
You thought you'd let a killer walk among us?
Let's go.
Enough!
My, but it's gotten warm in here.
That's enough.
I wouldn't call it a secret. It's more like a mysterious thing he doesn't like to talk about.
Glad I'm not the only one who knows not to trust your kind, Watcher. You do well not to trust hers.
What's on your mind?
Something else you need?
Didn't think there was anything more than lice and hoarfrost to these folk, but you had a look back there. What do you find when you're rooting around like that? Yeah? And I'll bet you could do the same to anyone in this village. Easy as looking at him. Mayhap I'm looking for someone. Woodcutter by the name of Harmka. It sure does. He was one of them. The mob that destroyed Cold Morn. I tracked him to Stalwart years ago, but got caught before I could finish my business. This man, Harmka, I saw him outside my house the night it burned, staring into the flames the way I seen you stare into souls. I knew it were a fool's errand trying to hunt down every man and woman that carried a torch into Cold Morn, but if I knew I got the one responsible for my kin and my hearth, I might could rest easy. I took a good long look that night. Ours was a little place with a yellow door right on the edge of town. He was there. Besides, I asked around when I first got to Stalwart. Townsfolk said that all the woodcutters in town took part in the purge. Point of pride for them. I told you he was part of the mob. I spotted him watching my house when it burned. But when we find him, I want to know if he's the one responsible for my home, my parents, and my brothers and sister. I never thought I'd have the chance to know for sure, but you could look into his soul and find out, you being a watcher and all. Mighty fine of you. Mighty fine indeed. Don't know where he dallies these days, but someone in Stalwart could tell us. People from little villages, they always know.
Any luck with Durgan's battery? Probably out in the russet wood, chopping timber.
We're not really going to do this, are we? Tell me when...
Be careful how far you follow this revenge plot. It may bring her some small satisfaction, but I doubt anything good will come our way.
Don't worry, we're not looking to murder him or anything.
The metal abomination has set her claws deep in your flesh. No good can come from it, Watcher.
Why do you want to know? In that case, hang a north shortly after you leave town. He and his crew go hunting from time to time, but you should find them in a clearing in the woods. What's on your mind?
Right here. Only kind of...
Direct.
How goes? Auroch's shadow. What's that wicked thing doing here? Are you mad? With that murderer? Look, we don't want no trouble. Just trying to do our work. We'd be much obliged if you'd leave us be. And take that thing with you. Just a woodcutter. Ask anyone in Stalwart. They'll tell you. Everyone does. Let the raid Sarens into the Deerwood. What's that got to do with anything? What did you say?
Yeah.
Not Sarai.
Almost 15 years I've been looking for him. All that fretting and wondering, and the deed's over in less time than it takes to tell. I killed a lot of folk in my time. Felt their blood slick in my hands, smelled their flesh as it burned. And I always used to imagine what it would be like to have Harmka under my knife, feeling his breath come hot and fast, smelling the fear ooze out of him. Couldn't feel a thing. His fading pulse weren't no more than a patter of rain to me. I know, but I wanted to feel it, you understand? This body, it weren't made for feeling. Gouging my fingers into Harmka's wasting flesh, his screams just buzzing in my skull. All it did was remind me that this is a madman's fever dream. Like a prison, but no, 'cause in a prison, you lay your head down and you feel the straw soft beneath you, your flesh prickling in the cold, black bread crumbling on your tongue. I still dream I'm folk. I wake up some mornings wondering why I can't feel the floor beneath me, thinking I must have fallen and gone crippled. But then I lift my head, see a bronze corpse stretching out in front of me. I dream too of what Galvino did that night. Those moments. I'd endure another cold morn if it'd spare me this fate. It was after I got caught in Stalwart. They'd locked me in a little house by the inn, the old mayor and his cronies. When a crowd of them came for me in the dark of night, I was only surprised it had taken them so long. Only they didn't march me to no gallows. No, they snuck me to another house on the edge of town, real sneaky-like. That's where I met Galvino. Weren't nobody fonder of reminding me. He was fiddling with some machinery in his workshop. Had his sleeves rolled up even though it was cold enough to see your breath. Never actually looked at me until he started fitting some copper helmet over my head. By that time, the mayor's goons had me trussed up good and tight. Galvino was having himself a grand time barking orders at that lot. He'd agreed to hand me over to Galvino for an experiment. Claimed it was a fair punishment, but the townfolk weren't too pleased at being denied their stone pitching. Didn't help that they heard the jangle of copper in that deal. In the end, that's what sent Galvino and the old mare packing. So while Galvino's fastening that helmet over my head and them copper bands around my arms, I'm starting to look at his contraption. And that's when I see it. It's this metal suit strapped into the machine just like me. A cold, dead-eyed thing, all done up with fancy carvings and such. I had this terrible cold feeling in my gut, but I still couldn't figure. I start asking Galvino and the rest of them what's going on, but they're too busy to answer. Then suddenly, they're waiting, staring at me with that fixed, horrified look, but they ain't watching me. They're watching for something to happen. Galvino tells the woman nearest the machine to flip the handle. And then, just pain. Being torn apart every which way, feeling my soul peeled from my body. By the time I came to, I couldn't feel a thing. Just this dull, distant sort of ache. I think that was when I knew. Don't much feel like it. The rest of Stalwart didn't take kindly to having a killer in their midst, nor to seeing their mayor and the Ornery Valians strike a secret deal. They drove Galvino out, destroyed a fortune in machinery, and wrote a letter to the Academy in Salona, ruining what was left of his name. Still, he's lucky he didn't get a pelting. The old mare fled too, and Stalwart's been as snug and cheery as ever. You're better company than Galvino. Been a while since I were out in the world. Guess I'm keen on seeing more of it, even if I'm stuck with a bleeding heart. Anyways, I've been wondering about that fortress. Near everyone thinks it'll have just the thing they need. Those villagers wanted to fix up their brook downtown. Galvino always thought it carried some great secret of Animanson, and all them adventurers came looking for fancy gear. You're right. Let's go.
Fair enough. Your plan?
Right here.
Fair enough.
Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you? Top quality bear. Back to warm your hands, eh? What can I do for you?
If you say so.
Back to warm your hands.
Zawa is ready. What do you need?
Back to warm your hands. You all right? I won't serve you if you're already drunk, you know.
Fair enough.
You look like you've been in the wilds. You see my wagon out there? Shh! Keep it down, will you? Look, I'm sorry I didn't give you the whole story, but surely you can appreciate why I wouldn't announce my business like that. I'm just trying to get out of town before some ogre or fishman or starving snow-addled hunter sticks a blade in my gut. More important, I gotta make good on my deal with the supplier. Ain't someone I'm eager to disappoint. Well, sure. You've proven yourself capable. Take Lenum and Francesca's shares. I'll be sure to tell the boss about you. Thanks again. With a little luck, I'll trade these blizzards in for a sea breeze soon enough.
Something I can do for you? Halfrick's got me straightening the rooms, but I'll...
Pay attention. Sooner we get this done, sooner we can go.
We're hurrying, Captain Gregor. Honest.
Sir? Excuse me, sir. You all right?
Yes? What do you need of Zawa?
Fair enough. Direct me.
Back to warm your hands, eh? Nothing.
Direct me. Whatever is your wish. Well, by all means. Direct me. Direct me. Whatever is your wish. Whatever is your wish.